The most important filmmaking lesson I ever learned didn't come from a film school. It didn't come from a famous director. It didn't come from a production company. It came from an 88-year-old badminton player. And the strange thing is, when I first met him, I had absolutely no idea he was about to change my life. Hi, I'm Sarthak. I'm a filmmaker, and today I run a production company. I've directed films, traveled across India, built a career around storytelling. But if you ask me where all of this really started, my answer will always be the same. A badminton court and a man named H.S. Dosi, or as we all called him, Daarji. Today, he's no longer with us, but there isn't a week that goes by where I don't find myself thinking about something he taught me. There was something unique about Daarji. Whenever we sat with him after a game, he'd often quote Gurbani. Not like a lecture, not like advice, just naturally, as if those teachings had become a part of his personality. And one line in particular stayed with me. सूरा सो पहचानिए जो लड़े दीन के हेत, पुरजा पुरजा कट मरे, कभू न छाड़े खेत. At the time, I thought it was about warriors. Years later, I realized it was about life. About showing up, about continuing, about refusing to quit when things become difficult. Back in 2014, my biggest challenge wasn't filmmaking. It was myself. My sleep schedule was terrible. My eating habits were worse. I was interning at a major news channel, and then came film school. But everywhere I went, the same lack of discipline followed me. By 22, I weighed nearly 95 kilos. And one day, I remember looking in the mirror and asking myself a question that genuinely made me uncomfortable. How am I supposed to lead a film crew one day if I can't even lead myself? And honestly, I didn't have an answer. Then badminton entered my life. And shortly after that, Daarji did too. My friend and I were honestly terrible badminton players. Nobody wanted to play with us, except Daarji. Every single day he'd call us over, teach us, correct our footwork, encourage us. And here's the ridiculous part. There were two of us, one of him. He was 88 years old, and we still couldn't beat him. Not once. At first I thought it was fitness, then experience, then technique. Eventually I realized it was something much deeper. Discipline. The kind that doesn't depend on motivation. The kind that shows up whether it feels like it or not. Every morning, every day, every year, for decades. And every now and then he'd repeat that same line. सूरा सो पहचानिए जो लड़े दीन के हेत, पुरजा पुरजा कट मरे, कभू न छाड़े खेत. The brave aren't always the strongest. They're the ones who keep showing up. Slowly something started changing. I began showing up to Yamuna Sports Complex every day. The weight started coming off. My confidence started returning. I felt stronger, healthier, more positive. Badminton transformed my body, but Daarji transformed my mindset. Because badminton teaches you something life keeps trying to teach. You can lose today and still win tomorrow. One bad game doesn't define you. One bad day doesn't define you. One bad phase definitely doesn't define you. Sport teaches you something life keeps repeating. A bad day is not a bad life. But while my health was improving, I was still struggling professionally. I wanted to become a filmmaker, but I had no portfolio, no body of work, no proof that I could tell stories. And I remember constantly asking myself, what's worth making a film about? What's worth documenting? Then one day, I looked across the badminton court. And the answer was standing right there. An 88-year-old man, still showing up, still inspiring people, still living with purpose. And suddenly I realized something. The story wasn't somewhere else. The story was already part of my life. I called my younger brother. At the time, he was still a student. We picked up our cameras and we started filming. No budget, no expectations, no grand plan. Just two brothers trying to document someone they admired. And somewhere during this process, I realized something important. This wasn't a documentary about badminton. It wasn't even a documentary about age. It was a documentary about how to live. Then something happened neither of us expected. The film traveled. Film festivals picked it up. It won recognition. People connected with it. The story traveled far beyond the badminton court where it began. But if you ask me today what the biggest achievement was, it wasn't the awards. Not even close. The awards weren't the biggest victory. The biggest victory was becoming the person I was trying to film. Because through Daarji's story, I found confidence, direction, discipline, and eventually a career. Today, Daarji is no longer with us. But there are still moments when I walk onto a badminton court and think of him. Not as a memory, as a standard. As young people, we often think bravery means achieving extraordinary things. Building companies, making money, winning awards, becoming successful. But Daarji taught me something very different. Bravery is showing up when nobody is watching. Bravery is choosing discipline when excuses are easier. Bravery is continuing when life becomes difficult. And if there's one thing an 88-year-old badminton player taught me, it's this. A great human being leaves behind much more than memories. They leave behind a way of life.